If you're planning on moving to Florida in 2025, there are a few big mistakes that I see people make over and over again, and some of them can end up costing you thousands of dollars or make you regret the property that you chose. So whether it's misunderstanding the flood zones, getting hit with crazy insurance costs, or falling for those cheap condos that really aren't cheap once you factor in those HOA fees. Now, my team and I work with people relocating to Florida all the time, and we make sure that our clients don't get blindsided by things like bad online data or hidden costs. So if you're thinking about buying a home or condo in Vero Beach or anywhere along Florida's East Coast, then our contact information is on the screen right now and also down in the description below. Now reach out anytime and we'll set you up with a custom MLS search so you're getting accurate listings, real HOA fees, and the kind of details that you can't really trust from sites like Zillow or Realtor.com. All right, now one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when they move to Florida is not checking the flood zones or the storm surge risk before they buy. Now, I can't tell you how many times that I've had someone send me a listing that looks like an amazing deal, but once we dig into the details, the flood insurance alone would be crushing their budget. Now, the reality is FEMA updates these flood maps all the time, and a home that wasn't in a flood zone a few years ago might be in one today. So if you don't check, it could be setting yourself up for a huge surprise. Now, here's where it really gets expensive. If you're buying on the island, especially in those lower lying parts of the barrier island, your insurance can easily jump to, let's say $10,000 a year or more. Now, that's not an exaggeration. It's just because of the flooding and because of the storm surge risk, which insurance companies take seriously. And even if your house is never flooded, the potential for storm surge drives up those premiums. Now, older homes, especially ones built before the early 90s, are usually built a little bit too low and level with the street, which makes insurance companies even more nervous and pushes those rates through the roof. So just make sure to reach out whenever you're looking at those houses, and we'll make sure that it's elevated a little bit above the street and also not in a flood zone. All right, now on the other hand, newer homes, which we talk about a bunch on this channel, built to today's hurricane codes, are elevated and often have impact rated windows and better roofs. Now, these homes might cost a little bit more upfront, but they can save you thousands every year on insurance. Now, that's why I always tell clients, don't get blinded by a lower listing price without considering the true cost of owning that property. So we can pull the flood maps, get elevation certificates, and even run a real insurance quote before you make your decision. So we do this while we're in the inspection period, and that way your deposit doesn't turn into hard money too soon. Now, trust me, it's a way better to know these numbers up front than to get caught off guard later down the road. All right, now the second big mistake that I see is people completely underestimating how expensive hurricane insurance can be, and more importantly, how these deductibles work. So a lot of people moving here out of the state are used to the standard homeowners insurance where you pay a flat deductible like $1,000 or $2,000 and you're covered. Now, that's not how it works here in Florida when it comes to hurricanes. So here, the hurricane deductible is usually a percentage of your home insured value, and it's separate from your regular coverage. So let's say that you buy a $500,000 house with a 2% hurricane deductible. If a storm comes through and it damages your roof, you're responsible for the first $10,000 before your insurance even kicks in. If your deductible is 5%, the number jumps up to $25,000. And if you're on the island or in a high risk zone, not only will your premium be higher, sometimes in that $5,000 plus range per year, but the deductible can be a real punch in the gut if you're not prepared for it. Now, one of the best ways to keep your premium under control is to go through a wind mitigation inspection. And if your home has insurance straps on the roof, impact rated windows, or a newer roof shape that's rated for those higher winds, then you can get big discounts. And these are the kind of details that my team and I make sure that we look at when we're helping the buyers out. So we don't just focus on the listing price, we look at the all-in costs, including what your insurance might realistically be. Now, that way you're not in for a $10,000 surprise after you move in. All right, now this one has been coming up a lot lately because I've been getting so many emails from people looking for affordable condos in Vero Beach. Now, on paper, they look great. You'll see condos listed for under $200,000. And at first glance, the monthly cost may look super low, but here's the reality. The HOA fees can be a lot higher than what you see online. Mistakes happen, and that can completely change what you can afford. So here's a real example that I got the other day. I had a client email me about a condo in Lake in the Woods. that was listed on realtor.com as having an HOA fee of just $66 per month. Now that would be amazing if it were true, but when I pulled the information directly from the MLS and confirmed it with the condo association, the actual HOA fee was $790 per month. And that is a massive difference. It wasn't an annual fee like what the website made it look like. It's monthly. And that's why it's so important to work with a local realtor who knows the area and can verify these numbers, because third-party websites like realtor.com and Zillow are often wrong or outdated in a lot of these cases. Now, HOA fees in condos are high for a reason. They often include things like building insurance, exterior maintenance, roof reserves, landscaping, and amenities like pools or clubhouses, which in this case it included all of that. And these associations are being hit hard with rising insurance premiums, especially after the condo collapse in Surfside a few years ago, which changed the rules and around inspections and reserves. Now, the bottom line is a condo that looks cheap up front might not be cheap once you add in $600, $700, or even $1,000 a month in fees. And that's why we always verify the true HOA costs and help our buyers see the full monthly payment before they get too excited about the list price, what they saw online. All right, now, even if the HOA fees themselves are reasonable, another mistake that I see all the time is people not paying attention to the rules that come with living in a community or a condo. Now, HOA fees completely change what you're able to do with your property, and a lot of buyers don't find that out until it's too late. Now, I've had clients who've bought a place thinking that they could park their truck in the driveway or rent it out on Airbnb, only to realize that those things are not allowed. Luckily, we caught them early enough and they didn't have to go through that loophole. Now, some associations here in Florida can be extremely strict. There are communities where you can't have pickup trucks, even if they're nice, newer models. Others have strict pet rules like no dogs over 25 pounds, or they limit you to one pet total. And if you were thinking about renting your property, some HOA fees don't allow any rentals for the first 1 or 2 years, or they might only allow long-term leases, meaning that you can't do those short-term Airbnbs or vacation rentals at all. Now, that's a deal breaker for a lot of buyers who are counting on that rental income. And that's why my team and I always get the HOA documents early in the process so our clients can review the rules and make sure that they're comfortable with them before moving forward. It's much better to know up front if something's going to be a problem instead of finding it when you've already moved in and the HOA fee is sending you violation letters that you had no idea that these rules even existed. All right, now another one I wanted to talk about. A lot of people think that Florida is cheap just because we don't have that state income tax, and that's true. We do save money there, but the overall cost of living can still sneak up on you if you're not paying attention. Now, property taxes, insurance, and HOA fees vary a lot depending on where you buy, and those numbers can climb up very fast. Now, for example, property taxes on the Barrier Island are typically higher compared to homes on the mainland, and add in the fact that island insurance can easily cost you that $10,000 mark or more per year, and suddenly that affordable home or deal that you found doesn't feel so affordable anymore. Then you've got the everyday stuff that people don't factor in. Florida Power and Light rates are not bad compared to other states, but running your AC almost year-round definitely adds up to your bill compared to where you may be right now. Groceries can be a little bit pricier, and eating out often will hit your budget too. It's not outrageous, but if you're comparing it to a small town up north, you'll feel the difference a little bit, especially since we're starting to see a little bit more tourism creep into the area. And that's why I tell people to look at the all-in cost before you buy. Your mortgage, your property taxes, insurance, and HOA fees all combined, and that's the true monthly number that matters. Now, if you take the time to understand these costs up front, you'll avoid the stress later. And my team and I always run the numbers with our clients so they know exactly what they're walking into before they make a decision. Of course, the property taxes are going to be a little bit of a guess since you need to be reassessed, but we'll just go off of that purchase price. That's a lot better than falling in love with a property and realizing a month later that the carrying costs are way more than what you planned for. Alrighty guys, so those are the 5 biggest mistakes I see people make when moving to Florida in 2025, ignoring the flood zones, underestimating the hurricane insurance, and falling for those cheap condos without checking the HOA fees, overlooking the HOA rules, and miscalculating the true cost of living. So if you keep these things in mind, you'll save yourself a lot of stress, and honestly, you'll probably save yourself a lot of money too. And just so you know, whenever I say my team in my videos, I don't mean one of those massive real estate teams where you get handed off to someone who might be new or barely knows the area, knows what they're doing. That's not how we operate here. It's just me, my business partner Alex, and our transaction coordinator Sheila, who steps in to handle the paperwork once we go under contract. I've been working with both of them for years, and I don't have any plans to grow beyond that yet. So if you work with us, you are always going to be talking directly to me or Alex, and Sheila will help you make sure that the back end stuff runs very smoothly. Now, Alex actually brings a perspective that I think a lot of out-of-state buyers really appreciate. He's originally from the Northeast, so he knows exactly what it's like to make that move down here to Florida, adjust to the lifestyle, and figure out what's different here. And in a lot of ways, he has a better handle on that transition than I do because I was born and raised here in Vero Beach. So if you're thinking of moving from a different state, he can really speak your language and make sure that that move feels a lot less overwhelming. So if you're thinking about making the move to Florida and want someone who's going to give you the real numbers and walk you through the process without all the guesswork, my team and I would love to help you out. Our contact information is on the screen right now and also down in the description below. Now, reach out anytime and we'll set you up on that custom MLS search that we were talking about before that shows you real-time listings with accurate HOA fees and everything that you need to know before you buy. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.